What's up, y'all? Got a family to feed, so let's get into this tea. DDG deeply missing Kennedy. Lala suing after pregnancy exposed. Let's get it. Ken filed papers on De'Ara.
Previously spoke on De'Ara's private investigator running up on Ken and serving him at Crush Fitness. Now, if you guys didn't know, De'Ara has been trying to serve Ken since December of last year. Well, now Ken is finally officially responding to the lawsuit after he was served that paperwork. Now, he's trying to get this entire thing dismissed because he was not served properly. Now, I put the documents here up on the screen, so feel free to pause and read, but I'm
Hilarious.
not going to read through these entire documents.
Nigga said, whatever I got to do to not pay taxes.
I'm just going to read what Ken is basically claiming here. He states, plaintiff filed this action on December 31st, 2024. According to court records, the first attempt at service did not occur until June 2025, over 5 months later. This substantial delay demonstrates a clear lack of due diligence in attempting to serve the defendant. On October 2nd, while in Dallas, Texas, defendant was approached by an individual later identified as a process server. The process server called out Kenneth approximately 15 feet away. Defendant, assuming this individual was a fan or supporter, as commonly occurs due to his
That's crazy.
public figure status, waited for her to approach. Upon approach, the process server stated, "I have documents for you," without identifying herself or stating that papers were legal in nature.
You're not supposed.
Defendant asks what the documents were, but the process server remained silent and merely attempted to hand them over. As a public figure who is frequently approached by fans, promoters, and individuals offering unsolicited materials, defendant exercised reasonable caution and politely said no thanks, then walked away calmly towards a nearby fitness facility. Defendant did not run, hide, or evade. The process server did not identify herself as required by law, did not inform defendant the nature of the documents, and made no lawful drop service attempt. Instead, after defendant entered the gym, she left the papers on defendant's girlfriend's vehicle windshield and departed the scene. Defendant later learned the process server affidavit and accurately described him as 5'5", 200 pounds, and bald, which is false and easily disproved by defendant's public photos and posts available throughout the year. So now let's jump over to 15 states. Plaintiffs claims defendant fled the state by relocating to Dallas. This is false. Defendant publicly posted about his move, continued his business and social media presence transparently, and therefore cannot be said to have fled. And then 17 basically states that De'Ara made claims that defendant and his mother have responded online to the lawsuit, and he's stating that it's misleading. He states he made a single public statement made in January 2025 was solely in response to core fans expressing concern over online rumors. So now in summary, it's stating that De'Ara's argument number one was Ken was aware of the lawsuit due to social media activity. Ken's response was posts and interactions were business related, not legal acknowledgments.
The legal acknowledgement was the fact that agreed to paying something that you still didn't pay. And or I told her she could just have the car. When in fact, you still had something to pay on that. You basically had something to still do by law with that. Still didn't. So you absolutely acknowledge the fact that it was a conversation had and you absolutely knew of it. But what you're not including is what you didn't do behind that said argument. Girl.
Public transparency contradicts any claim of evasion. In De'Ara's second argument that defendant responded to lawsuit online, Ken is stating his single post in January was a response to fans concerned, not acknowledgement of any lawsuit. Now, De'Ara's third argument that defendant's family assisted in avoiding service. Ken's response was, no evidence supports this. Defendant's relatives are not legal representatives and made independent public comments unrelated to this case. So now all of Ken's responses here were dealing with him being served, nothing necessarily to do with the lawsuit that was filed.
Which it don't matter if you weren't served properly or not. You still gotta pay the government, brother. You didn't pay this, man. I ain't got no choice.
I'm guessing he's trying not to acknowledge that he received any paperwork on that lawsuit.
That's
in conclusion,
crazy.
he's stating, for the reasons set forth above, defendant respectfully requests that this court dismiss this action in its entirety for lack of proper service and personal jurisdiction. Plaintiff's failure to exercise due diligence and the improper conduct of her process server render all-purpose service attempts legally void. So put into simpler terms, Ken is trying to get this lawsuit thrown out completely because the plaintiff, who is De'Ara, didn't properly serve the legal papers, meaning the defendant was never properly notified about the case as required by law. So we'll see what happens from here, but let's move on to this.
If he get away with that, that would be crazy. Hard. But crazy. Gotta see.
Next topic with DDG and Kennedy. So now a lot of you are aware that DDG dropped an album titled Moo. Now on this album, he had a song titled Shannon. If you guys didn't know, that song was dedicated to Kennedy. Now Kennedy and DDG had a thing back in the day where they were referring to each other as Shannon and Billy.
I told them to clean it up and
I
they
literally
didn't.
paid them
Shannon,
$300.
okay, we're
Billy,
not.
get your stuff together. I'm not going to ask you again.
Shannon, you know what? You know what, Shannon?
I'm getting a divorce.
When? When, Shannon?
I already have the favors done. I already have.
Do it.
I already have my
And
lawyer.
I'll have Stephanie next week.
Okay, and I'm going to talk to Robert from your job. How do you like that? Take that. Stephanie doesn't even know your name, Billy. You know that? It's my friend.
That won't explain why she was saying it last night, Shannon.
Get out. Leave.
So now people were leaving comments under Kennedy's post saying he really changed. Give him another chance without the camera. Someone else states Shannon forever and Shannon, where have you been? Now in Kennedy's last post on YouTube about 9 months ago, people were claiming that it appeared that Kennedy is pregnant, which I'm not confirming or denying that, but a lot of people in the comments were saying that they saw a baby bump. Now people are asking DDG to reach out to Kennedy, and DDG basically stated in the past that Kennedy has him blocked on everything. But who knows, maybe she might hear the song and decide to reach out.
Dub Shareline has just tipped $10. Can you check up on Kennedy? DDG squad miss her. She been ghost for 2 years.
Dude.
So now I also previously spoke on how people are stating that Lala may be pregnant. Now she recently posted a video on TikTok and people are even more convinced that she's pregnant, allegedly. Now a creator spoke out on this, speaking about the pregnancy, and Lala responded.
Did y'all see Lala's recent Instagram video? She looked pregnant as fuck. And recently she has been wearing looser clothing, so her stomach
Yeah, the start of the loose lets us know you're pregnant.
don't show as much, but girl, you literally look like you're 2 to 3 months ago. And it kind of makes sense as to why, you know, Cinco is starting to bring her around his family a lot. She met his mother, she just met his father. And I don't know, the minute she got with Jay Cinco, she's been talking about how she cannot wait to get pregnant. She want to have kids, da-da-da. And I just feel like it's a whole plot to trap bro. But hey, maybe it's just me. But they've literally been dating for like 4 to 5 months now, and you're telling me y'all are already planning on having a child. Like, to me, the first year of the relationship, you're still getting to know the person. You're getting to know what their qualities are, how they treat you when they're upset, you know, like the basics. And to put in a whole infant in there is kind of crazy. And to me, every time Cinco gets in a relationship, he gets very, very, very fucking attached to the female.
Yeah.
And I feel like he relies on the girl to make him happy. And Lala probably realizes, like, okay, he's kind of like a simp. Anything I say or like whatever, probably just go along with that shit. And I'm not saying that's exactly what happened, but
it happened every single time, and then the girls are just no longer interested.
Not the only one who's
and then he just be hurt every time
speculating that she's pregnant. Multiple people were commenting and were like, oh, her stomach is starting to look a little round, how her stomach is poking out, how she looks about 2 to 3 months. And y'all could judge for your own, but I really do fucking think that she's pregnant. And this is all a motherfucking scheme to make sure that she has that means of money. But recently his views haven't even been doing that good, so Lala, you might want to rethink that shit. It's just absurd that a year hasn't even passed and baby making is so motherfucking quick. Like,
so Lala responded with, if you want a cease and desist on a platter for defamation and harassment, keep these videos going, sis.
Well, you better leave her alone, chat. Anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Hell yeah.